Rain poured down the steel rooftops of Oriontech's corporate headquarters like a drummer rehearsing for a stormy concert. Inside the glossy glass building, billion-dollar ideas were being exchanged over espresso and shareholder pressure. But in the dim-lit maintenance hallway, pushing a mop and humming quietly to himself, was Ethan Miller, a single dad, janitor, an unnoticed genius. While the top floors buzzed with urgency, Ethan wiped coffee spills off executive tiles with quiet grace, his mind humming with algorithms and forgotten knowledge. He hadn't always been a janitor. Once, he was the kind of guy companies begged to work with. But after losing his wife in a tragic car accident and being left to raise his 7-year-old son, Dylan, alone, Ethan had shelved ambition for stability. He needed time for school runs, late-night fevers, and bedtime stories, not conference calls. So he took the janitor job at Oriontech, a company once built on dreams and now drowning in a $100 million software crash that no one could fix. Every evening, as he cleaned the top-floor executive offices, Ethan would overhear fragments of conversations, the CTO shouting about a corrupted AI module, the engineers whispering about unsolvable code loops, and the CEO, Victoria Lang, threatening to pull the plug on the company's flagship product, Aurora, which was due to launch in 48 hours. The problem was buried in millions of lines of code, so complex that even their best-paid minds couldn't solve it. What they didn't know was that Ethan had already solved it, in his head. For weeks, he'd been reading lines of code left open on whiteboards, discarded error reports tossed in recycling bins, and half-finished flowcharts. His photographic memory absorbed everything. But no one had ever asked the janitor what he thought. He was invisible. Unimportant. Until one rainy night. Everything changed. That evening, the CTO, Marvin, stormed into the hallway just as Ethan was mopping the floor outside the engineering wing. "We're dead," Marvin growled into his phone. "If we don't fix this sequence recursion in Aurora's neural net, the investors will sue us into oblivion." Ethan paused. He looked up. "Excuse me, sir. I overheard, maybe it's not a recursion issue. Maybe your neural net's stuck in a nonlinear dependency loop created by a faulty training dataset reference. If you isolate the temporal trigger in the feedback node, it might reset." Marvin turned slowly, looking at Ethan as if a goldfish had just quoted Einstein. "What did you just say?" Ethan repeated it calmly. "I think your AI is stuck in a loop because it's referencing a corrupted timestamp in the feedback path. Your reset function isn't being triggered. I saw a printout in the recycling bin yesterday. It's not a hardware issue, it's logic. I can draw it out if you'd like." Marvin stared, then scoffed. "Right. The janitor just solved what MIT couldn't. Stick to your mop." He walked away. But Ethan didn't stop. That night, after everyone left, he stayed behind. On a whiteboard in the tech hub, he drew the entire dependency chain from memory and pinpointed the broken node. He left no name, just the fix. The next morning, engineers poured in and stared at the board, stunned. It was elegant. Precise. Brilliant. Within 20 minutes, they tested the suggestion. Aurora booted. The code stabilized. The AI that had been crashing every 3 hours now ran clean. The bug, one they had wasted $4 million trying to fix, was gone. Chaos erupted. The engineers were thrilled. Marvin claimed he must have written it in a late-night breakthrough. But the truth emerged faster than Marvin expected. Security footage showed Ethan in the room overnight. Writing. Solving. Alone. Victoria Lang, the icy and intimidating CEO, reviewed the footage herself. She summoned Ethan to her office, an event unheard of for anyone below the executive level, let alone a janitor. Ethan walked in with his janitor's uniform still on, his ID tag reading, Ethan M. Victoria's gaze was sharp as glass. "Sit," she said. "Did you write that fix on the board?" Ethan nodded. "Yes, ma'am." "Why?" she asked. "Because I couldn't let a system that powerful fail when I knew how to fix it. I've built AIs before. Before life changed." She leaned forward. "Why are you mopping floors instead of building tech empires?" Ethan hesitated, then told her the truth. About his wife. His son. The late nights. The sacrifices. The peace he found in being present, even if it meant pushing a mop instead of pushing code. Victoria said nothing for a long time. Then, she reached into a drawer and slid a keycard across the desk. This is your new badge. You're not a janitor anymore. Welcome to Aurora Division. You start as lead architect. Ethan blinked. But, my son. I need flexible hours. She smiled for the first time. You'll work remote 3 days a week. On site too. Your son is welcome at our daycare anytime. Consider it done. The entire company buzzed with whispers. The janitor who saved Aurora. The single dad who fixed the $100 million problem. Reporters showed up. Share prices soared. But Ethan didn't care about the headlines. That night, he walked Dylan home in the rain, umbrella in one hand, lunchbox in the other. Daddy, Dylan asked. Why are people calling you a hero? Ethan smiled. Because I fixed something broken. Dylan looked up. Like you fix my toys? Ethan chuckled. Exactly like that. And just when Ethan thought his story had ended with a promotion, something far more shocking was about to happen. End of chapter 1.